All right, it is the Boneyard Podcast. Matt Mosley here with Coach Corey Campbell. And Coach, congratulations. Great win the other night, and to do it in such dominating fashion, you know it's always going to be a tough battle with South Grand Prairie. But to do what you did, both offensively, defensively, I mean, this was a lot of complimentary football. But I know it's so much fun. Saw you down there after the game, the gold ball. Everybody wants a picture with it. And I know we're going to talk about Coppell and what challenges they present. But listen, we play South Grand Prairie pretty much every year now. And to do it, I mean, we've had some knockdown dragouts. We've had some close. We've had some high scoring affairs. But to do it like you did, it's always rewarding. But the convincing fashion in which you did it, I mean, I think it says a lot about where the team is.
Yeah, it was a great team win. Obviously our defense played awesome. I think somebody said it was the first playoff shutout win since like '96 or something like that. And so hats off to Paz and our defensive staff. And then, our kids played unbelievable. It's an exciting time of year. You have an opportunity every time you play now to win a gold ball. So happy for our staff and our team and our community and our school. Just a really fun time of year. I told the team this morning in team meeting that there's 32 teams left in Division I 6A football. When you start to look at that bracket, it's kind of got a March Madness kind of feel. And it started obviously with 64, and then after round one, we were fortunate to get that win Friday night. Now there's 32 teams left from all over the state, and so exciting time.
Yeah, and I mean, at some point, it'd be nice to have a second round opponent that didn't have all these D1 players. But that's what you say when you get down to y'all have got some players yourself, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Now let's talk about the South Grand Prairie. What was the thought process? Take us inside, because you had to thread a needle. Fortunately, you've developed between Mo and Franklin some nice complementary backs to Christian Rhodes, who's had a tremendous season for you. You knew Christian had been banged up, but I thought it was a gutty performance by him. I thought it was a good job of you. You were able to use him, but he had 16 carries, and I'm sure at times you were having to kind of manage that and wanting to use him, but also wanting to kind of take care of him physically. How did he hold up, and what did you think of his performance?
Yeah, really gutsy performance. Was pretty banged up from the week before. I think one of the things that Coach Todd did a great job of this week is just, we got a lot of other guys reps when you mentioned, Franklin, and I'm so proud of him. A sophomore, he's only 15 years old. He's really starting to come into his own. He got some really meaningful carries in the first quarter and second quarter of a playoff game in 6A football. And so, and you mentioned Mo had some of those carries, and then not to forget about Harrison. Harrison had a few as well. I think Christian had 120 something yards, and don't quote me on all this, but I think Mo and Franklin had 50 or 60, and Harrison had 50 or 60. And so that was kind of a running back by committee or a rushing attack by committee. If you want to talk about it like that, but super proud of those guys. Not one time did Christian ever ask to come out of the game or I can't go or anything like that. And I think it's a testament to, he's a tough kid, but I think he understands where we are. He's starting to figure out every time we play a game, we get to play for a gold ball. And, he's kind of learning how that works as well. And, up front, offensive line wise, we've talked about throughout the season, we've been banged up a little bit up there, and it's been a revolving door at times. So hats off to our O-line, and then it just makes it so much, I don't want to say easier. There's nothing easy about it, but it just gives especially, like myself, a play caller, when that defense is playing like they are, and it just allows you to do so many more different things and situations. If you want to go for it on a fourth down, if you want to pin them and feel like you're going to get the ball back quick, so many different scenarios that that defense allowed us to do Friday night.
All right, and one of your solid defensive players who earlier this year was a big time pass rush and kind of have moved him inside. Talking about Peyton Nicholson. Also, at this level, you don't see a lot of guys. I mean, and y'all have had it over the years. Remember Jeremiah, when you're a real good receiver at defensive backs a few years ago. But for Peyton to be able to step in there at guard, I mean, that's a lot of versatility, and from what I could tell, he held up extremely well inside with that O line.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton, I talked to him last Friday, and he was like, "Coach, whatever I need to do, to help the team." And he's just an unbelievable kid. So lucky and fortunate to be able to coach him and be in our program. And it's guys like that that make that LH so special. And he had a crash course. He's super intelligent. He had a crash course. He kind of O line. Getting familiar with some of the calls and some of the checks and things we do. He picked it up extremely fast, and I think our defensive staff is the one that kind of brought it up. We had talked about it, ever since he's been a freshman. I think he's got a younger brother that I think is going to be a really, really good old lineman as well. And we had talked about it, ever since he's been in our program. And we just felt like it was the right time, especially with, again, the injuries and things we've had to deal with up front a little bit. It's been a revolving door, and he raised his hand and said, "Coach, I'll do whatever I need to do," and he did it well.
Kind of the Travis Hunter of this team.
Yeah, there you go.
Reference to the Colorado Buffaloes, possible Heisman winner. But all right, so Harrison gets that first touchdown, moving the ball well. You get flag involved. It's just it was all hands on deck. I mean, it just seemed like Mo. To me, this was like a kind of a throwback to earlier in the season. You had to lean on Mo in one of those games. It might have been Forney, and he produced some like big hitters. And I know you went for some razzle dazzle in that first half. Y'all did a flea flicker. I always kind of look down at our buddy Zach when I see something like that and go, okay, he's in Corey's ear. On that play, didn't work out, but was Mo kind of open down the seam? I was trying to kind of figure out what was you were hoping for there.
Yeah, it's just and something we saw in video that we kind of wanted to take a look at, and kind of had it in our repertoire throughout the season. And we wanted to go on a little delay. We were in a tray set into the boundary, and we wanted to go on a delay to the tight end, which was Leland. Being so versatile like he's been all season. And that's kind of the way we'd practice it. And their defense showed a different look, and it looked like a cover three. And so the corner was definitely, in that area we were trying to get the ball to. And so it almost turned into a vertical beater versus that one high. Mo was open down the seam, but put that one on me. That's not really what we had seen on video. And we had practiced it in a little different scenario. And so, Leland not being open was just on the play caller.
When there's that sudden change, and I think of the defense, one time they got down there inside the 10, one time, there was a mishap on a punt, and they get the ball down there, and that's a huge thing for a team when the defense picks you up. And whether and to me that speaks to your team and everything. But is that the mentality of the defense kind of all season long? Is no matter what situation we're put in, we're going to respond?
Yeah, I think it is, and credit to those guys. And one thing that was great to see Friday night was you had guys. Aiden Little came up to me on the sidelines after they got one of those big stops, and Hollywood and Webb and those guys, and it was just it gave us so much momentum offensively because they were coming off the field reiterating, "We got you," and
they were actually saying that to you as they
and so just that mentality of it was giving them momentum because they just got a big fourth down stop, but then in turn it gives our offense momentum, and just was breathing life into our whole football team, inspired by our defensive play.
All right, and one big play that in a sense really gave y'all a commanding that 20-0 lead was Ryan Sherrado breaking through and we've seen him back there before. And, early in the season, I think he almost had a block and may have either chipped, it ended up hitting the punter or whatever. But on this one, that's a great sound when you get that punt block and it sets up that 20-0. How many tackles off the top of your head do you think Ryan had in that game, by the way?
12, 13, 14.
Something like that, yeah.
And some of the tackles he made, a lot of times in that box, it's hard for people to who made that tackle. They're watching the ball. They don't always see, but he made a few tackles where it was just him and the ball carrier and everyone could see, golly, you want to talk about a kid that's gotten so much better, at his craft over the years. I mean, he's fun to watch. I mean, he is excelling at a level that I don't really even know that I ever thought he could get to. He walks on the field and he's if not the best, one of the best football players week in and week out, and just so proud of him and how he's matured. Ever since he's been a freshman, it's fun to watch.
All right, and two plays stick out in my mind. One was Holden Lane, your sophomore cornerback, makes a play on a ball. It was just really nice. I think it looked like a guy that just continues to get better and better. Tremendous technique. And then one was was that Osarola who had to race back to make a play on the ball. And man, we talk about being in phase and turn around and play the ball. I mean, that was kind of honestly like an NFL type play where he had to close some ground and he closes it and he makes a perfect play at the end. I mean, that was both those plays. I think were big in preserving the what was already kind of a commanding lead.
Yeah, the thing that I noticed in plays like that, in that particular play, I think the quarterback was, he's being flushed, the right-handed quarterback being flushed to the left, and just assignment football by Holden Lane and Osarola, by understanding their assignment, not trying to get their eyes in the backfield, understanding whatever scheme we were in, 2-man or whatever our speed package, and just knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And both of those kids did it very well.
All right, let's get to the offensive and defensive players of the week, and of course the unsung hero award. We had one of my favorite ones recently, JT. Nobody celebrates a gold ball like JT, and JT Slinger was running around down there, and that was very fun to see. But who is the offensive player of the week?
Yeah, this week, I felt like that, on both sides of the ball, it was hard to choose one. So offensively this week was going to be our running back room. Running back by committee, you already alluded to it a minute ago, but Christian had a big night. Franklin's really starting to come on. Really excited about him, and then Mo had a few carries as well. We was able to break and make some big plays. So our offensive player of the week is going to be our running back room, Christian, Franklin, and Mo. So big night from that group, and then again you sprinkle on a little bit of Harrison. Gave us what we needed Friday night.
Franklin, for a young guy, is really patient. It's not something you normally see. He kind of waits for his blocks to set up and all that kind of thing. So it is a good combo because you've got speed and power. The Christian Franklin can be a little more deliberate, and then Mo with just sort of pure speed. It has turned into I wish Jerry Jones had a thought about putting something together in the off season. Getting ready as we tape this to head out to Arlington tonight to see those 3-6 Cowboys as they face the Texans.
I think the thing that I love about Christian and Franklin being they're a little younger, especially Franklin being a sophomore, and he's a young sophomore, is the game doesn't look like as we went through the season, the game doesn't look like it's too big for him. And that happens sometimes when you move young kids up, and so that's really refreshing. You're running a play in between tackles, and there's a kid on the other side of the ball that's 18 years old. That's a grown man, it's not too big for him, and I think he's gotten a little bit more and more comfortable as the season goes on. And man, he's going to do great things here. We're super excited about that.
Okay, defensive player of the week.
Yeah, that was, I guess it was pretty easy. As I mentioned a while ago, I think it was the first shutout since '96. Man, that defense played unbelievable. It's just so fun to watch. For me on the sidelines, it's hard because you're trying to make adjustments on offense and you're doing this. It was a couple times where I was just kind of wowed by not only our effort, but just the whole scheme, the whole operation of Friday night. And so our defensive player of the week is going to be our defense with that big shutout. That's a huge deal anytime you can do it. But, man, round one of the playoffs, getting a shutout from that group is huge.
I tried to, and he was trying to keep his head down, but I saw Paz show up on the scene with a couple minutes left in the game. He came down from above.
Keep his head down. I don't think that's something he does very well. So
I gave him a loud yell, and he did not acknowledge. He tried to, from up there, or the cheerleading parents sit, and but yeah, he was still focused on the task at hand. Now, the unsung hero award winner of the week, who is that?
Yeah, so kind of want to just take the audience back a little bit. When these playoffs start, there are a lot of moving parts behind the scenes, and it's our job. It's what we do. It's just part of it that you don't deal with week in and week out. Trying to find a venue to play in, planning, pregame meals, doing so many different things. We put the kids' names on the back of their jersey if we make the playoffs that season. And so, doing those type of things, there's just so many different aspects of our operation. And so our unsung hero this week are two ladies that they really, really they run our program pretty much, our parent advisors. And they just do so much, and I'm so grateful for them. Wendy Lucas and Libby Nicholson are going to be our unsung heroes this week.
All right, and I believe Libby has some relation to your guard / defensive tackle, and that's pretty neat. And of course, you've got Blake over there crushing people late in games. Wendy's son. So, and Wendy was up for, and I tried to vote several times for the team mom of the year through Dave Campbell. So
yes, that is a huge nomination award that she's received. So I encourage you to go out via Whataburger and vote. We've got links up everywhere, and vote for her. She had a son, Ryan, come through here a few years ago that's now at A&M, and she's been a familiar face that kind of gives us a calmness. She understands some of those operations and how they work. I've talked to her several times already this morning about various things, and she knows what's going on, and we're super, super fortunate to have her on our side.
Yeah. And I won't read anything into the fact that you always seem to pick Aggies for some of these things. They seem to have ties to that particular school. That's going to be a nice game, by the way. The renewed rivalry.
Yeah, I think they've been camping out for tickets down there for a month or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
you never did that when you were down there? No camping out.
I don't think so. Not too much.
Okay, let's look at let's start looking at Coppell. And boy, as we sit here, I wish I could just give our viewers a look at that board I'm looking at right now. Y'all have looked at everything, and I know you were up here extremely late after the game, and then of course Saturday, and then Sunday, and so you got to have, by the time the kids get here Monday, which is today as we film this, you want to start giving them a look at what to expect and have a game plan ready to go. What stood out about that game the other night? We were watching that thing, and it was tied at one point. I think Coppell went up on Prosper 35-21. It's interesting because y'all played Prosper last year. You know what they're about, and certainly y'all jumped all over them in the first half, and we're going toe-to-toe with them. Are they pretty similar? I remember Prosper having some kind of unbelievable O-line and that kind of depth. What stands out to you about Coppell, other than the fact that they're undefeated and have a quarterback headed to Waco to play college football?
Yeah, you're bringing up Baylor stuff now. You're criticizing about the A&M stuff.
Well, for one night, I will not be cheering for a Baylor guy.
Coppell, I'll just like I told the kids and the staff, it's 32 teams left. There's good football all over the state of Texas, and this region that we're in, especially in 6A Division One. To be able to advance and get out of the Metroplex, you're going to play some of the best high school football in the country. And Coppell is right in line with that. I think when you look at the tape, from an offensive perspective, as you mentioned, their quarterback is a Power 5. He can really spin it. He's athletic. He's got two really really good receivers. I think he's thrown for 40 touchdowns and 3,000 yards, and maybe one or two picks. There's a reason why he's been highly recruited, and he's a special player. And then they're on the defensive side of the ball, they're just going to be so multiple. I think as we turned on the tape, that was one of the things that popped off early, is just how many different looks you're going to get. Their Coach Wiley and their staff does a great job with that unit, and they've got a couple Power 5 kids. They've got 2 or 3 FBS kids. I mean, they're super talented. I would say their defensive line and linebackers are really what pop. When you start getting into final 32 teams, line of scrimmage is gonna be a really big deal. And they are excellent on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So we're looking forward to it. Another opportunity to play for another gold ball, another opportunity to advance. They are undefeated. They're a top 10 team in the state of Texas. They've had some really, really big wins against some really good programs this year. You mentioned Prosper, being in the district with Geyer, Louisville. They're impressive. But like I told the kids, I mean, this time of year, everybody you play is going to be like this. So, we're excited. We're looking forward to the opportunity. We need to have a great week of work ahead. And just like I told the kids this morning, we're not going to change who we are. We're going to try to go 1-0 today, be the best we can be, and Friday will be here before we know it.
Well, it seems to me that one of the things you'll stress, and all coaches do it, but y'all do a really good job of it, is starting fast. And in some of the bigger games you've won and been in, that's been a key. Sure. Is throw that first punch. Sure. We saw Tyson, I don't know if he got a punch in the other night against Jake Paul, but deliver that early one and kind of let them know, hey, you're in a ball game. How big is that? How much stress do you put in? And I just, if you don't mind taking us inside it, like, you're someone, obviously you got a ton of plays in mind. You go into a game, you kind of have in mind what you might use. Do you like to kind of script out things early in the game, like the first 10, 15 plays, first 8 plays? Is that how you're comfortable, or do you not approach it that way?
No, I don't do it like that. I used to 15, 20 years ago. I've been calling plays for a long time, but I used to try and have first 8 or first 10 or first 15 and really practice that. But I never could stay on that script. And so our philosophy, kind of my philosophy, is what we do is we want to see multiple formations early and often. We don't want to line up in the same one. We want to have motion. We want to have bumps. We want to have movement, and we want to see if the video that we've studied, all week is showing us the same picture that we're going to receive, obviously on a Friday night in game time. And so that's kind of what we do. We get in, and then if it's what we had practiced, we feel comfortable with that, then we'll start to rattle off, the game plan more in a strategic way. But that's kind of really how I treat it, is we want to see multiple formations to see if we're getting what the defense, and sometimes you will, sometimes exactly what you thought. And then, other times defensive coordinators, they go in and say, hey, we've got to stop this and we've got to stop this, and we'll see something totally different. And so staying on that script was never something that, happened too often back in the day.
All right. It's going to be 7:00 at Clark Field, and it'll be good to be out there. And Lake Highlands has great history with those Plano schools. We know Lonnie's out there. Saw Lonnie. Lonnie came to see the Wildcats the other night, and that's always. I think he's still a Wildcat at heart, even though he's out there running that Plano Independent School District. But anyway,
it was special to see him. You know,
yeah.
not only does he still have relationships with a lot of our players, you know, but I think the thing that I talked to him on the phone this weekend, but the thing that that I loved is just, you know, our families that have spent so much time together, and still there's still a relationship there. So many different, you know, kids. I mean, he talked to, you know, my son the other night, and wives were, you know, able to visit with him, and that was special for me to just, you know, be a part of that.
He wanted to be on the Boneyard podcast, but I told him our time was limited. The historical part of this is Lake Highlands does not have a long history with Coppell. Played a couple of times. I think Coppell has won those, but you were part of the last time they came up against each other. That was 2017. And Glenn Gant doing our historical look at that 2017 game. But y'all had what, Jackson Thompson, who went on to Louisiana Tech. The guy who went to Texas Tech, Corey Fulcher, yeah, and then a dominant D lineman. Man, these names are starting to come back to me now. Trumaine Bell, the second, who went off to UTSA and then had a little bit of time there, I believe, with the Saints. And then you had a 1,300-yard rusher in Quentin Freeman. Obviously, they had some great players and some D1 talent as well. And that one went back and forth. I think it eventually y'all fell 49-35. You were a young play caller at that point, still young, I might add. But what do you remember about that game? Was that just a high scoring?
Yeah, it was
back and forth.
Yeah, it was a really back and forth type of game. We were Jackson Thompson was a really good high school quarterback. Again, as you mentioned, went on to La Tech, and we had some really good receivers. Teams were kind of a mirror image of one another as far as you know, throwing the football around. And so, yeah, I remember it being back and forth, you know, that night. I think one of the things about Coppell, you know, if you talk to, you know, coaches in the Metroplex, or if you talk to coaches around the state, you just don't see too many one-horse towns anymore. It's such an advantage to have that. And, you know, Coppell being, they've got more than 5,000 kids, you know, almost double the size of us. And they've managed to keep that model, like Allen has, like Southlake has, like Duncanville has, you know. And when you look at the, you know, the programs year in and year out that make deep runs, I think those one-horse towns are something that kind of, you know, that sticks out when you look at Coppell. Great community, and you know, it's being a one-horse town, I think that is a huge advantage, and that's what I hear from coaches around the state when they talk about some of those type of programs.
All right. Good news is you can only get 11 out there at a time. So they may have all kinds of depth and everything, but you got some great players as well, and you got a great staff, and they're hard at work. Some of them are having to teach right now, but I'm seeing some of the things they've been putting on the wall here, Coach. I think your challenge this week will be trying to edit and not have everything end up in that playbook and the game plan. But man, exciting! It's such an exciting time. I want to encourage everybody. Coach, what's the easiest way to tell people how to get the tickets? Can they go? Do they need to get on the Plano school website? Can they do it through Brushfire? What's the best way to kind of encourage people to get their tickets and get out there and be ready for kickoff Friday night in Clark Field?
They'll have, I think the link was going out this morning, and so that link will be all over our social media pages and Wildcat Club and our football account and all that stuff. And if they have any questions or if they run into any problems, Lonnie Jordan would be the contact that want to reach out to, because my phone won't stop ringing. So no, but all that information is good to go. We'll forward all that out, and you know, it'll be a great environment Friday night.
I'm going to wait probably till about Friday about 3:00, and I'll ask Lonnie for a little sideline pass, see what he can do for me.
There you go.
And see what they're doing for concessions. They sneak up there to the press box. But Clark Field, where they've played a lot of great football. The Wildcats have played there in the past, and so this will be great. It'll be a great environment, and we'll have the elements. I know, there was folks that wanted maybe some indoor activities this weekend, but that'll be fun. That's the way high school football is supposed to be played at this time of year, is to be out there. Hopefully it'll be about 55, 58. I still wore this. Even people had blankets the other night around me, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna stick with my my LH gear." Hey, appreciate you, and it's been a lot of fun this season. We might as well just keep this thing going.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're looking forward to the opportunity. Fun time of year. Excited for our kids. Our school, our community, and we'll be ready Friday night.
All right, there he is, Corey Campbell, getting those Wildcats ready for battle as they head into play an undefeated Coppell team. It's Lake Highlands versus Coppell in Plano at Clark Field Friday night. Thank you for listening to the Boneyard Podcast.
We are Rogue Media Sports.